Welcome to the Daily Divorce Dad's Dojo, the 4D. I'm your host, John Clement. It is January 28th, 2025. Today, we are going to do another excerpt from the soon-to-be-released book, Divorce Court Destroyed My Life, Now What? How to Give Yourself and Your Children a Fighting Chance for a Comeback in Life. Now, today's excerpt is from Chapter 2, Myths About the Situation Divorced Fathers Are In. It is another chapter like yesterday that addresses more of the psychological and mental needs of a divorced dad. Now, physical needs can be incredibly urgent. I mean, I was there. So, later on in the book, when we get to life hacks and strategies to address the issues that divorced dads are in, I will talk about how when I was going through a lot of the things I was going through, living on the streets, being homeless, having to deal with a prostate infection twice when I had no insurance, no money for a doctor, no money for antibiotics, the things that I had to do to deal with the things I was going through. And other divorced dads will have guests on the show talking about what they've done that was successful to get them through things. And I mentioned yesterday that when you get your copy of the book, if you need to skip the first part, the mental psychological part, and go straight to some kind of life hack that addresses one of your emergency issues going on at the time, hey, at that point, you've paid for a copy of the book. It's your book. You skip around, go where you need to go to get what you need. Because that's what I want for you. I want to help. This has got to stop. And together, we've got to stop this. Well, that kind of gets me into, I'm going to kind of use that as a little segue, stopping this, because that's one of the points we'll get to today. So in Chapter 2, Myths About the Situation Divorced Fathers Are In, we're going to look at myth number 1. So let's start building your survivor mindset by dismantling some of the myths about what divorced dads face when they are in the grip of the divorce industrial complex. Taking apart these myths is important because believing them will impede your progress in getting your future and your children's future back on track. They are dangerous lies. So let's look at the first myth here. Myth number 1. What you're going through is an exception. For whatever reason, you've just slipped through the cracks in the system. Now, I was told this lie by a lot of ignorant people over the years. Some of them were even well-meaning. However, it's just not true. The system is thoroughly corrupt and intentionally father-destroying. Now, even if it were true that you and your kids somehow fell through the cracks of an otherwise good system, shouldn't what's happened to you and your children be corrected? Are you and your children obligated to accept what's happened just because you, quote, fell through the cracks, unquote? Is that some kind of excuse of the system? No, of course it isn't. It doesn't take much observing of the world around us or doing research online to discover that you haven't fallen through the cracks. The system is working exactly as it is designed to enrich the divorce industrial complex, particularly judges and attorneys, but also prisons and bureaucrats, by disenfranchising you and by breaking the continuity of generations by preventing you from raising your offspring. Now, when an American state, say Missouri, Illinois, or any state, seizes income from you in the name of so-called child support, the amount seized is reported by that state to the federal government. Next, the federal government rewards the state for doing such a good job for children by paying to the state's treasury an amount that varies from state to state between 10 cents and 60 cents on the dollar. The state is then issued a waiver that grants the state discretion in how the funds are used. In many states, a large portion of these funds are earmarked for judges' retirement programs. This is legalized racketeering. This is a conflict of interest for every family court judge. The more income that is seized from you in the name of so-called child support, the more often judges will swing from hammocks in Hawaii, sipping mimosas paid for with money that would have been in your children's college funds. Now, the preceding paragraph sounds outrageous because it is outrageous. Unfortunately, it's not so outrageous that it's not real. It's quite real and easily verifiable. Title 42 of the United States Code, Section 666, contains the bulk of it. Yes, it's really Section 666. That is not parody. That is not satire. I can't see the future, so I can't promise that I will never do parody or satire on this channel, but with the topics that we address and stuff, I just don't see parody or satire being a thing on this channel very often. So it really is Section 666. So make of that what you will. Now, there are a few points here. 3, actually. So 3 quick points, then we'll wrap this up. But they are important points. Point 1. Psychologically, when we humans understand what is happening to us and why it is happening, then we can make it easier for our minds to deal with it, even if we can't immediately do anything about it. So that's point 1. Because remember, we're building a warrior mindset. A mindset that will last and help us endure through what we have to endure through. Now, point 2, also psychologically, one of the weapons of the system against divorced dads is isolation and loneliness. By understanding why this is happening to you, and that it is also happening to literally millions of other men just like you, that can start to chip away at the isolation and loneliness that the enemy wants to infect your mind with. Now, in future chapters, we will talk about how to find groups, how to find support, building your support network, stuff like that, to combat this isolation and loneliness. For now, there is a brand new Facebook group and Facebook page for the Divorced Dads Dojo. I will put the link down at the bottom. And I look at this every day. So if you want to chat with me, other people, anything that that you need to get off your chest and anything you want to discuss, if you've got nowhere else to go, to combat this isolation and loneliness, that's another thing that we want to provide at the Divorced Dads Dojo and Hearts of the Fathers Ministries. Now, third point, okay, and here is the most exciting one. So the first 2 of the 3 points were psychological parts of your mindset. Here's the third point. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, as I write this in 2025, the United States of America is entering an age of accountability for public officials. Never has there been a better time in the decades since this anti-family, anti-father, anti-child agenda began in our nation for there to be opportunity to organize and stop it. One of the things needed for that is awareness of the roots of the system so that those roots can be plucked out. Just plucked out. So you got this, Dad. You are your kid's dad. No matter what the government says, you are your kid's dad. No matter what some black-robed tyrant judge says, you are your kid's dad. No matter what your kid's biomom might say, you are your kid's dad. Even if your kids have been brainwashed by parental alienation, you are your kid's dad. Do not let the enemy win in your mind. If you let them win in your mind, it's over. If you never let them win in your mind, you win. So the battlefield is your mind. It's your mind. It's your identity as your kid's dad, and only you can give those things up. I know you hurt. I hurt too. But it is time to get up and fight, fight, fight. Now, at this point, where people usually ask to like and subscribe at the end of a video, I want to point out one of the ways that you can support our work here. At the bottom, I'm going to put a link to a serialized ebook, Don Espino de la Rosa and the Dinos of Dreadcastle. I am a fiction author, and one of the books that I write is based on the tabletop role-playing characters that my two sons grew up playing with when we played games such as Dungeons and Dragons and other games like that. And it's a way that I can feel connected to my sons every day by writing on this book. So I'll put the link down below. The book is free to read. It is free for you to enjoy. You can actually financially support things simply by subscribing and liking, particularly by subscribing. The payment model that is used by the host company, Tapas, is based on subscriptions. So I think it's pretty sweet that my audience gets to read the book for free, never has to pay for the book, but they can still help support me. So you can support me at no cost to you by subscribing to the chapters of the book as they come out. So I'll put that link down at the bottom. Don Espino de la Rosa and the Dinos of Dread Castle. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it's been helpful. Here at the Daily Divorce Dads Dojo, the 4D, I strive to bring relevant content for divorce dads every day. So for now, peace out and God bless.